Hey everybody, I'm Zombie Johnny, and today we're going to be taking a look at another one of Frank Miller's works. This is Ronin. Ronin was written and illustrated by Frank Miller, colored by Lynn Varley, and published by DC Comics. Ronin had an original run between 1983 and 1984. The story of Ronin begins with two samurai, the elderly Lord Ozaki and his protector, a young samurai. They are ambushed by a group of warriors. The young samurai takes out the first few, but Lord Ozaki takes out the rest after the young samurai becomes defenseless at his own accord. After the battle, Lord Ozaki shows the young samurai why his sword is very special, the Blood Sword, a sword that was stolen from the demon Agat. After their victory, Lord Ozaki wishes to celebrate and the young samurai follows to protect him. Lord Ozaki takes a woman of the night to have a little fun with, and the young samurai waits for Lord Ozaki's return. Then, the woman of the night turns into the demon Agat and kills Lord Ozaki. The young samurai then tries to kill Agat, but he is defeated and pushed aside quickly. Agat sees that Lord Ozaki and the young samurai don't have the blood sword with them. Then, a group of samurai burst in to see the commotion, and Agat flees, slashing the young samurai on the face as he goes. Saddened by his failure, the young samurai has become a Ronin. He is about to take his own life, but he is stopped by the spirit of Lord Ozaki, who tells the Ronin to take the blood sword and wander the lands, to keep the sword's location hidden from the demon Agat. Just then, the story shifts, and it appears that the story of the Ronin was being dreamt in some sort of vision by a limbless man named Billy. Billy lives in the distant future in a futuristic complex called Aquarius. Aquarius is located in New York City, but the streets of New York are filled with horrific scenes of poverty and zombie-like people. Billy then explains his dreams to the supercomputer Virgo. Virgo then puts Billy to sleep so they can observe his dreams. The dream takes us back to the journey of the Ronin. He is still continuing his quest to slay Agat. At the doorstep of Agat's lair, the Ronin defeats a rat creature. When I first saw this rat creature, I just pictured Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Ronin defeats the rat creature, but is wounded during the battle. The Ronin climbs the steps of Agat's lair and challenges him. Agat grabs the Ronin, and with the last breath, the Ronin stabs through himself to pierce his sword into Agat. And with that, they are both trapped inside the magical blood sword. Wait, is this where Samurai Jack came from? The story shifts back to Billy and his dream, which has become a reality. The screen in front of Billy starts projecting the demon Agat. Agat then bursts through the screen, and he is flesh once again. The Ronin starts slowly taking over Billy's body. Before Agat can destroy this new forming Ronin, he vanishes into a green ball of light. Then, a massive explosion destroys a portion of Aquarius, and the Ronin and Agat are set free into this new dystopian future. And this is where the story begins. This comic was definitely not what I was expecting. I thought this was a comic about a samurai who became a Ronin in feudal Japan. It is way more than that. It goes places that I certainly never thought it would go. This is a story that is gripping and action-packed. This is no doubt a page-turner. I read through this book in a day and I was hooked from start to finish. It had a lot of twists and turns that I wasn't expecting, and it doesn't let up for a second. There isn't a dull moment from cover to cover. All of the action scenes feel like they were straight out of a classic samurai or anime film. They are very stylized, pretty graphic, and of course they are all very epic. Even though they are still panels, you can see the motion in the swings of the Ronin's blade. You can tell that this story was influenced by manga, more specifically the manga by Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima called Lone Wolf and Cub. At that time, there was no English translation of Lone Wolf and Cub, so Miller was following the story just by the illustrations alone. Ronin's other influence was classic samurai and kung fu films. Makes perfect sense. Throughout this comic, I saw a few similarities to other manga and films such as Akira, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, the 1982 film Blade Runner, and the 1981 film Heavy Metal. All of these stories came out around the same time, somewhere around 1981 or 1982. They all seem to have the same collective themes and style of sci-fi and cyberpunk. This comic is very planted in the 80s sci-fi aesthetic. The look, the story, the ideals, and even the color scheme are just a perfect example of that era. It also gave me some Ghost in the Shell vibes, but that wasn't released until the late 80s. This comic is also a perfect example of Frank Miller's work. Just like his work on The Dark Knight Returns, which was released 2 years later, his writing and his artistry are absolutely fantastic. And much like The Dark Knight Returns, Miller's art and writing are paired with Lynn Varley's amazing color work. The colors, of course, are stunning. Varley's color palette perfectly match the feel and the energy of this amazing line work. At the end of this comic, it ends with a glorious 4 or 5 page fold spread out. You want to talk line work and color? This is it right here, folks. While reading this, I thought to myself, I have no idea how I'm going to capture this. So I will admit that Miller's paneling and line work can be a little sloppy at times, but it still looks amazing. What really shines is his storytelling. In doing research on this comic, I found that Ronin was done using the full script method, which means a full panel-to-panel script was written before any drawing or inking was done, giving Miller time to flesh out the story before he had completed any pages. At the back of the comic, there is a gallery section, and there are some pages that are just the inking with no color. I think I wouldn't mind seeing what that would look like. It would resemble a manga style of comic, and it might add to the feel of the story itself. I'm not sure if there's an edition of this comic that exists like that, but I would certainly like to take a look at one. Just saying. In doing a little more research, I found that Ronin had influenced the creation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can remember saying something about the rat creature reminding me of Splinter. Makes a lot of sense now. The other story that it influenced was, of course, Samurai Jack. Like, come on, I knew I got that feeling and I stated it earlier, but this is a no-brainer. A lone samurai gets transported into a sci-fi future. The comparison is obvious. I will state that this story isn't for everyone. As I said previously, it is seated heavily in the 80s sci-fi genre, so it might be a little difficult for some to understand or swallow. Overall, Ronin is a great story, filled with great action and great art and great coloring, but maybe not for every reader. Total page count, 336. Total volumes, 1 trade paperback. Total score, 4 out of 5. Thank you so much once again, everybody, for watching, and I had a blast doing this series. It was definitely not what I was expecting, and I really hope that you enjoyed my review on Kingdom Hearts. I think things are going well with that. And in other news, it finally happened, folks. I got the COVID. Oh no. But what better way to spend laying in bed for a few days being sick than getting through my comic book and manga backlog? So all I have to say is be prepared. There's going to be a ton of reviews coming out. I have so many written. All I have to do is record them and then capture them and put everything together. So be prepared. There's going to be a lot coming out, and there's some really great series, some of them that I've been looking forward to doing for a while, some of them that I just purchased. So be prepared for that. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do now hope that you're staying happy, healthy, and safe, especially me after being sick. So just please take care of one another, take care of yourselves, be happy, healthy, and safe. I'm Zombie Johnny. Peace.